Good evening. I'm calling this meeting to order. This is the Public Works Committee for the City of Hudson. We're meeting on Monday, July 10th, 5 p.m. My first item of agenda is to call the roll. First, to introduce myself, I am Joy Knudsen, and I represent District 3 for the City of Hudson, and I'm the Chair of Public Works Committee. We have several council members here tonight. Michael Kennedy. Here. Present, thank you. And Sarah Brook.
Here.
Both present. All are accounted for. We also have several staff members with us this evening. We have Executive Assistant for the Public Works Department is Deb Andrews. Start with you tonight, Deb. You're on the spot. And also Public Works Director Michael Mraz to my right. And to my left is Erin McPhee Anderson, beg your pardon. And she is the city engineer for the City of Hudson. So first item then is approval of the minutes from our prior meeting, which was June 7th, 2023.
I so move.
Second.
Second, okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion or comments, anyone? If not, okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you so much. Okay, the next item then is we do have an opening for comments and suggestions from citizens. And occasionally we do have people that come either individually or groups from different neighborhoods when they want to address concerns, and we certainly welcome that input. No one is here this evening, so we'll move on to the next item, which is number 5, new business. And 5A is the City Hall front staircase replacement design. So I'd like, Mike, are you taking that tonight?
I'll take this one for sure.
Thank you.
So in the last CIP go around, the Finance Committee and Common Council appropriated some money to redo our main entrance into City Hall. The staircase is falling apart, the railings are rusty. We've been having problems with the electrical working on the light posts, so on and so forth. So we hired a local designer to come up with a couple different designs for Public Works Committee to review, and that is in front of you tonight. So basically came up with 2 separate options, as you see in your packet, and I printed off a larger format paper form for you to see if you, hard to read the small numbers on the computer. But anyways, so the one, option 1 is, so the difference between the two is option 1, as you'll notice, the ramp does not extend past the City Hall building corner. Option 2 does. Option 1 creates a small courtyard area that we would be able to install some benches for people to sit, so on and so forth. I did reach out to the designer that put these together and just kind of had a ballpark, cost estimate difference between the two, and he said the one with the courtyard is probably between $10,000 to $15,000 more than the option 2. So option 1 is about $10,000 to $15,000 more than option 2. And so the reason why we're looking at putting in a ramp is for ADA accessibility. Obviously, right now our current ADA access is off of Walnut Street, so people have to park in the parking lot. There is one handicap stall on the south side of the building, but many times there's more people that need that access. So to have separate entrances that are both ADA accommodating is kind of what we're going for, and that's why we're looking at adding the ramp. So with that being said, I'll turn it over to you for any questions or discussion, or just kind of get some input on which way you would like to lean, because the thought is once we kind of choose an option, we would go back to the designer. He would kind of put in the final details for that option 1 or option 2, and then we would then go out to bid for that project. So I would bring it forward to Common Council for their review and approval and authorize ad for bid at the 17th meeting. And then we would probably bid it out for about 3 weeks, probably the second council meeting in August, open up bids or approve bids at that time.
So I have a quick question. So the option 1, the concrete patio, so that's a I'll just say current sidewalk grade?
Correct.
And then the ramp kind of comes up or rounds it, forming the back wall?
Yes.
And as someone who had to use the ramps a few weeks ago, okay, or the elevator, et cetera, this is a welcome thing. When I saw option 1, I thought that was a great use of the space. I just think aesthetically not sticking out and past our lovely building here. And I think you and I have talked about it in the past. I also like the, you come out and then I might want to have a quick word with you, or you meet someone or whatever. So there's congregation on that sidewalk as it is. Yeah. This kind of moves it off to there, and anyone standing around isn't really in the way of the flow of the ramp, right, if needed. So
Yeah, because oftentimes after a meeting, there'll be people out in the sidewalk and you're having to like, excuse me, or walk around, not interfere with the conversation. that might be happening.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas the other one, you know, that might move down to the ramp. Now we have people, you know, kind of bottlenecking that. So acknowledging that you know, it'd add to the cost of it. But I think, you know, given that we're still going to do the digging up, new railings, all that, you know, the scheme of things, I think we get our bang for the buck. And, you know, the idea of a couple benches there, those might be a memorial bench possibly, you know, to try to see if we could incorporate some of that, you know, just an idea. But, I like option one as a.
And the added cost comes from mainly because of the concrete patio. You're adding, you know, 12 by 20 feet of a concrete pad where the other one wouldn't have it. So that's where that extra cost is coming into play. Sarah, Joy, any thoughts?
Well, I just have a thought. I agree. I like option one. I don't like the offshoot, that extension beyond the building. I just think aesthetically it doesn't, for some reason, it just doesn't mesh as well for me. But my question is this. I struggle when we decide to spend an extra $10,000 and $12,000 on some things and not on other things. So I'm trying to, and I hear all those great points that Mike just made. If we did option one, could we do it without the concrete pad? Would that drop that price down? So that is a way that we could save some of that money. I'm just trying to think about when we choose to spend the extra money and when we choose not to. And I think sometimes from a resident's perspective, who I know use this building, they might want to see that extra $10,000 to $12,000 go to trails or go to alleys or go to something that's potentially a bigger impact. So that's just one of the thoughts that I had. I much prefer that location, but I'm just wondering if maybe we could do it without that concrete pad.
Okay.
And are you suggesting that be grass, try to keep it as green grass there, or plantings?
Some
or-
plantings or something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Interesting.
Or we can always add it in-house later on and save cost that way too. You know, that's an option as well.
Structurally, that would be okay. I mean, there's going to be a seam anyway, and okay.
So.
Thank you. And the steps will be basically identical to what they are
Correct.
right now?
Correct.
Okay,
Yep.
so
Yep.
that is not changing.
Same width, they would be redone, but it would be the same width, et cetera. We would update the railings, of course. But yeah, they would look similar to what they are now.
And just administrative question, because I thought that the drop box was locked and not being used, but I noticed it's unlocked at this point.
It is.
Is that going to still be there in this plan?
We would incorporate it somehow.
It is,
some way
okay.
into it,
So
yeah.
that's still being utilized for,
Yep. Yeah, we locked it up for voting.
during elections,
Yeah,
right? People
exactly.
weren't allowed to
Yep.
use the drop box.
Exactly.
But that's still like utility payments or
People will drop them off there
Parking.
from time to time. Yep.
issues, so
Yep.
on. Okay, so today, is it our role to choose a design if we feel
Yeah.
that so inclined today? And then you can move forward?
Yep.
Or does the council have to approve the
So
design?
I would move forward, I would reach back out to Dan Ballman and say, you know, the general consensus is, you know, we like option one. So let's finalize the specifications on that design. And then what I would do is I would bring forward the final design to Common Council on the 17th of this month
Yep.
for them to review and approve, you know, staff to go out to bid for that project.
Sure.
So in my issue sheet, I did make a note that I would have them bid an alternate project just to replace the stairs, just in case this comes in way higher than what we're expecting. Because at the very least, we need to do something about the staircase because it is starting to crumble
Yeah.
and fall apart.
And when you say just the stairs, you mean the ramp would not be there?
The ramp would not be there.
Could be
Correct.
added later, which I do appreciate,
Yeah.
the thinking about all the options and accessibility. But originally, we were just planning on the stairs.
Yep.
The CIP or whatever.
Correct.
Funding had been put in place. So, but yes, I think everybody is in agreement that we do need that easy access. People can figure out, maybe, how to get in the other way, but it could be somewhat intimidating to see that set of concrete stairs and, well, I need to go inside, how do I get inside? You know, if you've been here often, you know about the elevator
Yeah.
and so on the side. So, at any rate, do you anticipate that if we get out to bid and we get a reasonable bid, it would be done this fall, or?
Yes, I do.
Still could be.
I do.
Okay.
Yep. Because if we get the bid approved, let's just say the second meeting in August, get the contracts finalized, the contractor would have September, October, November to complete the project.
And so we had estimated 71,000.
Yeah, I took the cost of the designer, the architect.
Okay.
To do the drawings and all I took that out of the budget already. So we had $80,000.
Yeah,
He charged us $8,500.
Okay.
So that's where the $71,500 came from.
Okay.
Yeah.
we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
I would be shocked if that wouldn't cover at least the ADA,
Right.
the ramp and that, but,
Right. Yeah, we'll see.
okay.
But on the other hand, building the stairs, I don't know what that involves.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Oh,
one thing to
okay.
pour a slab, but.
Okay.
Is there, since it is an ADA type thing, is there any grants that would be, I'm not trying to turn this into the mega project that it doesn't need to be. But I think the ramp's important. I think you're right, replacing the stairs it's the functional thing.
Yeah.
I just think it'd make it a lot more welcoming if we did that. And to Sarah's point, you know, maybe we could, when we bid this out, you know, a little asterisk says the idea, if we didn't cement that in, what would that save? It would kind of eliminate that from any kind of public use that it was intended. So, but if we could do that, again, the ADA part, is there any state funding for that, or?
I'm not
Not
familiar
that
for
I'm
like
aware of.
buildings.
Yeah, it is sort of it's our building, we need to kind of keep it current, so.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I haven't applied for any type of ADA type grant funding has been through like TAP, you know, Transportation Alternative
Okay.
Programs, where you're updating sidewalks or trails to comply with ADA specifications. But outside of that, for buildings, I've never applied for any grants for that.
And it doesn't look like you had any recommended action, so you're just going to move forward with getting the
Yeah, I
costs?
think, I would accept a motion to choose one of the options.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, aesthetically, I do agree with your comments about the appearance. I mean, there's been a lot of work done decades ago to keep this building looking historic and looking attractive, and, you know, including that third floor addition. And so I do think it's more appealing, option one as well. It's clearly there and available, but it doesn't, you know, jump out at you that here's a ramp. It fits in a little better, it appears to me. So I do agree with you on that. I think we could, if you guys are comfortable, we could vote on that. That would probably help streamline things for the next step and move it along that is more possible. So, and I do believe we've had advice prior from the city administrator, and which came from the city attorney, that something that's on the agenda, even if it doesn't say possible action, that we are allowed to vote on it, if it's been posted as a discussion item.
Absolutely. I just didn't see recommended action, so that's why I
Yes,
wasn't
wondered
sure.
that too, Sarah, but yes, I think we can move it forward.
I could have went either way.
Sure.
Well, I'll make a motion then for Mike to go ahead with bidding out option one, with, if that's doable in that, with the idea of that patio being an optional
An
add-on.
alternate? Okay.
Sure.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we are discussing possible action on the City Hall front staircase, which has already been approved, but also adding a ADA accessible ramp. And we have selected, or we're voting now on option one, that on this line drawing that we have, which is available on the city website. Anyone cares to look at it, that is our preferred option, and so we're going to suggest moving forward to get bids on that. So that is our motion and second. All those in favor signify.
Aye.
Okay, and anyone opposed? Thank you. So we'll move forward with that and
Thank you. Yep.
see what the cost looks like. Thank you. Okay, under new business, item B, discussion possible action regarding letter of engagement with Bolton and Mink for topographic survey of the 2024 infrastructure improvement projects. So we have an issue sheet on this from our city engineer, Aaron. Thank you.
Yeah, so this issue is, I reached out to Bolton and Mink to get some survey for the reconstruction projects we plan to do in 2024. So this is kind of the first step of any reconstruction project that you need to do. So they send the surveyors out and kind of shoot all the existing conditions so that the designers can then design the new improvements to fit the existing conditions. And so I had them split it out into 3 separate costs, which I've listed below. But the projects that would be included would be Vine Street, which the city council just approved doing that in 2024 from Wisconsin Street to Diamond Drive. And then Green Street, which was already included in our capital improvement plan for 2024 construction. And then I added the Crestview Trail rehabilitation. So we have an existing trail along the south side of Crestview Drive. It's in very poor condition. I did apply for a grant to kind of reconstruct part of it, not the whole thing from Carmichael to 11th. So we haven't heard about that. I have it on my list to check in about it since that application was due in May, and I'm not sure of their timing of the awards. So then if we do get that grant, we would just have to put in our $50,000 of trail maintenance that we've already established, so it's not any additional ask from what we already planned to do. And then we would already have the topo to kind of go forward with that design. If we don't get the grant, there was also a recent complaint from someone in a wheelchair who is having a hard time navigating the trail. So I think there's multiple reasons why there's kind of a need for the improvements. And so I thought if we just got it surveyed, we'd kind of have it in the bank to be surveyed and ready to go when we're kind of have funding available to start chipping away at it essentially. So we can, if we wanted to, in the LOE, I did have them split out, like Vine Street is the $17,900, the Green Street is $9,178, and then the Crestview Trail is $15,502. So, we could accept the LOE, but maybe say, let's don't do the survey yet on the Crestview Trail till we get the grant or till we feel like we actually have a plan to make the improvements for sure. So that's kind of why I wanted to have them break it out just in case we wanted to go that route. And then the funding would just be under the Vine Street CIP funds. We've allocated the 1.2 million, the Green Street about 800,000, and then the funding for the Crestview Trail I'm suggesting would come out of more rollover funds that we have from previous years. And so that would it wouldn't go into the $50,000 trail maintenance fund. So that's kind of taken out of rollover funds. And so my recommended action is just to approve the letter of engagement from Bolton and Mink in the total amount of $42,581.
Go ahead, Sarah. Oh, okay.
Go first.
I have a question. I'm guessing that there's some economies of scale if we lump all 3 in this order or whatever. I would like to know that. I mean, I would like if that were the case.
I probably not in this case.
not?
That's maybe more for a construction thing. For
Okay.
this, they're just going to estimate how many hours it's going to take them to do it, no matter what.
Okay.
They're not going to lower their hourly rate based on the scale.
multiple.
Not for.
And this item does not have a shelf life. We get it now, we could use it in 5 years. I mean, it's.
Yeah, I would say yes. That because we'll know if there's any big improvements that happen, if something completely got redeveloped.
yeah.
But we would know if utilities were getting relocated because they'll, the power poles, they'll topo and everything. So yeah, it'll have a good life to it.
So are you thinking we won't do the trail unless we get the grant?
I think it's something we could discuss because just doing $50,000 wouldn't go that far.
Okay.
So I'd have to evaluate how much we could actually do, but it's like, if we could only do, say, from Carmichael to past County Market for, you know, maybe we do want to really chip away at that small amount, but I think,
Am I right that we're designated, the trail funds are going into Vine Street next year?
We did indicate that, yes.
I mean, and
During the
Yeah.
reallocation discussion.
so, I mean, I
Yeah.
appreciate you thinking ahead of this, because especially if the former Hudson House property is developed
Yeah.
and moving forward, we can look for some assistance from
Yeah,
that
with-
incoming project to help pay for some of that trail.
Correct.
So, like you said, Mike, this work has to be done at some point, and yes, you might have it on the shelf until you have funding. But I did just want to point that out, that I mean, that's hard. I wish we had more money to spend on trails.
yeah.
Because that is, it's in tough shape.
It's a
Yeah.
very
And you do see people that are here visiting, you know, people stay at a hotel and they want to walk down, you know, to get a bite to eat or something, and you see various people using
Yeah, and
that
people
trail.
do utilize it to access the grocery chains. You know, that's their main mode of transportation
Yeah.
for people on bikes or walking
Sure.
or in wheelchairs.
Absolutely.
You know,
And
so,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so I, again, appreciate you selecting a highly traveled one
Yeah.
to work on. So the Vine Street letter, that survey topographical work needs to be done because we have moved forward, and that has, the council has approved.
Yep.
Moving forward.
Yep.
With reallocating CIP funds.
Yes.
For Vine Street, so.
Yep.
That one seems to be given.
so Aaron, would it be an option, like you said, in kind of setting this up, to wait and see if we get that grant? And if we do,
Yeah, I think
the
we,
committee
yeah.
doesn't feel comfortable moving forward with the Crestview Drive number yet, maybe see if we get the grant, and if we do, then maybe we'd bring it back for survey at that point in time. I mean,
Yeah.
how fast would Bolton Mike be able to turn something around?
I think it sounded like, since these are kind of small survey areas, they have gaps, you know, in timing and stuff, so I think they could do it pretty quickly
Yeah.
from what it sounded like, so it wouldn't be that big a deal if we wanted to wait
Right.
another month, or, you know, I'll check in, that's why I do want to see like when they typically,
I mean, even if they do it, let's just say in September or in October, if they survey it, you're designing a trail isn't as complicated as designing a
no,
road.
yeah, we could, yeah.
So-
We would have time to get
Okay.
the design,
Well, it's,
yeah.
Sarah, did you have more to say? I probably interrupted you
No,
there.
that's fine.
Well, I wanted to mention something that I know will be brought up later today about the Green Street project, that we applied for a grant that we did not receive. Is that correct? So.
Yeah, I will just caveat that. Yes, I was
Unless you
gonna
have
bring it up.
something new.
No, I
knew you were.
don't. It's not
I'm
new.
jumping the gun, I realize that.
I do just want to say, yes, so I have heard through the grapevine, I'll call it, that we did not receive the grant money that we applied for Green Street. So that was the Surface Transportation Program, local. We haven't officially gotten word, but, you know, it's a pretty reliable that we
sorry,
did. But I was gonna say in general, yeah, unless someone else declines an award and then we were high on the list, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
probably not.
Highly unlikely.
Yeah, highly unlikely, so I think we can, you know, move forward.
So we were
with-
hoping
did
to
not
get
the
some
money.
significant assistance in paying for
Yes.
that.
Yep.
And this gets complicated and the weeds here, I hate to bring it up, but I know the council was hesitating to approve the work. You know, we authorized 2023 and kind of held off on some decisions. I cannot speak authoritatively on that tonight, whether we actually voted to spend as a council to do that Green Street project, or if it was still on deck circle. Do you remember anyone?
I would classify it more as on deck circle, if I remember
I don't
correctly.
know. I mean, it's due, and I don't
Yeah.
even know any reason that we wouldn't, but again, we face some challenges here with, you know,
Funding, resources.
other projects costing more than expected,
Yeah.
things like that. Not to say that we shouldn't do, I know it is important and it's forward-thinking to do this work. And it may seem like a small amount of money to some people, but yes, when we can't afford to, resurface the trails, it's real money for us. And I think all of us on this committee have come to appreciate that, how to spend it. But it is work that needs to be done, and these projects will come to the top of the list, and the Vine Street obviously is, so.
So our kind of our options, it sounds to me, are we go ahead with Vine Street and Green Street, topographical
Okay.
study,
Survey, yep.
and leave Crestview sort of pull the trigger when that gets hotter or closer. Is that kind of what I'm hearing you? And I'm kind of leaning that way too, based on you said they do have a kind of a quick response. It's sort of like, if it's really hard to get, you bring in inventory and put it on the shelf, right? But if it's on Amazon, you can get it in 3 days.
Yeah.
Then maybe just leave it at Amazon and not pay for it until we need it, is my analogy. So
Right.
that's the way I'm kind of
Put it in the parking lot.
Yeah, right.
That's where I'm at too, especially if we think there might be an opportunity for the developer, because then maybe they would even have to pay for the survey fee. So maybe that's something we could negotiate. So,
I will say, I actually didn't include the stretch in front of the old Hudson house in
Okay.
this, so that actually is not included in this.
okay,
cost.
got it.
So,
Okay, so that wouldn't be part of
yeah.
this. Okay.
Just had them skip that
So
segment.
they'll contribute, but not necessarily contribute to the whole stretch.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
They would just do what's right outside their
That we're
property.
required of them.
Yeah.
Sure. Good idea, though. Did you make make it as a motion?
Did I
or-
make
that your
a noise? Yeah, that's my motion then. So
right.
move ahead with Vine and Green Street,
Okay,
and we'll put the Crestview work on hold.
I'll second that.
okay, so our motion tonight, we are discussing ordering Bolton and Mink to provide us with topographic surveys of some sections of expected work here in town. This is for the work on Vine Street as well as Green Street, and the amount that we're authorizing for Vine Street is $17,901. Green Street would be $9,178. We have a motion and a second for that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, that passes. Thank you. All right, and then under new business item C, discussion regarding the 2023 multimodal project discretionary grant program. It has a code word, MD, we're gonna make up a word for this, MPDG, application for Carmichael Road. And this issue sheet will be handled again by Erin McPhee Anderson. Thank you.
Yep, so I just, so the federal government came out with a new application for, yes, the MPDG grant. And this is a really big, it kind of puts 3 different programs based on the bipartisan infrastructure law together. So it's like the mega grant, the infra grant, the rural grant, and there's a lot of just nuanced details, but basically there's the $5.575 billion to all 3 of those programs that they would like to award for. So I have been thinking about that Carmichael Road would probably be the only roadway we have that would even really qualify for this specific grant. It's one of those big grants like the Raise and Build, which we did put the Carmichael corridor to. And didn't receive those, but so this would just be another opportunity to try to get Carmichael Road. I have been playing with the idea of how big the scope would be, I guess. I know the other grants, we've kind of done Carmichael Road from Cooley to kind of a little bit past the government center to widen it fully to the 4 lanes, because right now, we have 4 lanes and it kind of necks down to just 2 and then back out again. So that section I think was a little under $12 million. And then we do have Carmichael South to rehabilitate the pavement, kind of, I think, from Crestview all the way to our city limits. Do you know if the scope was? Okay.
Cooley Trail.
So the pavement, is deteriorating a little bit, so we already had it in a few, I'd have to double check which year it was, to put like $2 million, I think, into that about.
It's deteriorating quite a bit because we were gonna crack fill it 2 years ago, Dean and I went and walked it, and if you actually like walk and look at all the cracks, it's very surprising at how poorly it has gotten. And Carmichael is one of those roads that we do not want to lose by any
Right.
means. And so, like Erin said, she looked at the scope, and if we were to do both the north side of 94 and the south side of 94, the cutoff for the grant as far as allowable or projects that score higher and get better funding is $25 million. $25 million and more for local projects, okay? So if you were to combine the north side with the south side, that would get us near, if not over that $25 million, which would give us a better opportunity to maybe receive those funds.
Yeah, so this grant, you know, they're really wanting to give money to big projects with regional and national significance. So it's like kind of saying the whole Carmichael corridor, that makes it a little more with, you know, we have a school on one end, a school on the other. It really kind of ties more in the regional significance, I guess.
Hospital?
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah, oh, yeah, all the things along it, so I just feel like it might score better.
Yeah.
The only, you know, we would also have to put in more, because we would be asking for more, and it would be like an 80-20 match.
Oh.
You know, so the more we
If
ask.
we receive the grant.
If we receive it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you know, that could be a conversation in the future, maybe how much we're willing to put
What was
in.
the match again? 80?
80-20, so,
MPDG stands for, just in case you're wondering,
Oh, yeah.
and you're losing sleep at this night, Multimodal Project Discretionary Grant.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So I would want to also look at, you know, adding trails on both sides. Like, oh, it would be nice to have it all the way down to, you know, Rivercrest Elementary. And those are just ways to also like get to that bigger number.
Yeah.
Because I think it's something needed as well, so.
That's great.
Well,
And I will, what I haven't mentioned, so I have reached out to SEH. I'm still, you know, we're trying to maybe work through like a number they could provide us to help us with the grant. Obviously, it's a really big opportunity. There would be some additional like preliminary engineering things to look into. You know, I don't have the expertise for a big grant like this. Hopefully we could kind of regurgitate some of the raise or build grant language. So I'm trying to work with them this week to come up with a fee that they would propose to help with the grant. So then that would go through the full council.
and SEH helped us with our Carmichael corridor study.
Yep.
They also helped us with our first round of raise grant applications. So they would have, like Aaron said, a lot of information
Yeah.
already at their hand where they could pull that together and hopefully do it for a cheaper rate or a cheaper cost.
In your conversation with them, do they think they can take that on in the next 6 weeks, 5 weeks?
Yeah, I don't, you know, we haven't talked about all of the details, but it you know, they definitely weren't like, no, there's just no way we could do it, so
Okay.
I'm, you know, hoping they would be able to do it. The one thing I will also say, I have reached out to WISDOT. There's been a lot of talk about the Exit 2 being redone, and I know there's a lot of history with that project, so I was just kind of calling to get a little more background on that. And also see if they would want to partner or be willing to partner, I don't know any details, to actually do the full Exit 2 interchange. So basically a redesign of Exit 2 was looked at, you know, a while ago, and it's just kind of like, there's no funding for it. There was kind of some disagreements, I think, on how much Hudson should put in versus WISDOT. So, you know, that's in my head probably not a big possibility, but, you know, having another partnership, and that would obviously be a huge project. So that right now, just to do Exit 2, which did include a certain amount of Carmichael on either end, it wasn't just, you know, between the ramps, is like 50 million. So
Wow.
that would be getting the project really big, but, so we'll see if anything comes out of that, but.
I think that's smart to look into that.
To at least ask.
And yeah, and kind of, you know, position ourselves the best, give
Yeah.
ourselves the most options. I also think with, you know, more housing going down on the south side, I guess people drink beer, and that Lift Bridge is a beer company, you know, or the baseball, you know, that's gonna be, I mean, that's gonna fit this definition more and more as the months go by here, of what this grant kind of looks like, or is asking for. so,
Regional.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard it said that that is the busiest exit on 94 in the whole state. I
Yeah.
don't know how many
I've heard
of you
that
drive
too.
soup
I
to
have
nuts,
too.
but
Yeah.
with my kids living in Madison, a number of years drove. You know, when you think of the amount of car traffic coming and going, both within the city, crossing there, plus the exiting there, it is one of the busiest on the Interstate 94 in
Yeah.
the state of Wisconsin. So it's obviously, right, the engineering, and then that has become such an important corridor for us that, you know, it's needed as we grow. My understanding, right, that only recently the city took over the corridor north of 94 completely because we shared, I mean, the county, you know, or the town of Hudson.
We do,
yeah.
Abuts it, in a few spots anyway, still,
yes, we do have an agreement with the Township of Hudson, for that stretch.
in terms of decision-making
Yeah.
and cost, I
Costs,
suppose,
maintenance
expense as
costs,
well.
and, yep.
You're plowing it
Yep.
all the way, yeah,
Yep.
okay.
Well, Erin, thanks for the research and the legwork you've done on this. I'm not seeing a recommendation on here.
No,
Do you
there
need
is- it's
anything
kind-
from us?
No.
Okay.
It just right now is just wanted to start to get your, thinking about it.
Yeah,
What
it's
what would be
exciting.
the next steps then that,
Well, the next steps would be, confirm the proposal with SEH. So
I had suggested that we have it on tonight's agenda because Erin may, I mean, she's been working with them. They may come up with a dollar amount yet this week that could be on next week's council agenda.
Yeah.
And I just thought for us, we need to toss the idea around, know what's going on.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Understand, there are times when the staff has to go directly to council for approval because we're not meeting again for a few weeks. So I just thought it would be helpful
Absolutely.
today, and thank you, Erin, for the preparation and explanation. And so, yeah, this is not necessarily action, but we
so
wanted
if
you to be informed.
If Aaron gets a number back from SEH this week, then you would bring it straight to finance and council?
Yeah.
Okay.
Next week.
So,
And though,
okay.
yeah, I'm pushing it quickly because the deadline for the grant is August 21st, so they're not really giving people that much time to, put together information for mega projects.
And if it didn't come by then and you needed something, I would think most of us would be able to come in for an emergency meeting
Oh,
so
sure,
that you
yeah,
could
if-
get
if
that
there was a
approved.
reason,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Sure. Yes, and it's another example of where we need to spend some money, allocate some funds in anticipation of work or projects that might happen,
Yeah.
could happen, and have to do that wisely and make those decisions. But yeah, I appreciate your work and the input on it for certain, and we'll hope that that they are available, and that, I just want to recognize, also appreciate all the work that you have done on grant applications, and you and I were visiting about this last week, Erin, that, it's only in the last few years that the city of Hudson has had a full-time city engineer. Before, we did have a part-time one, or we did a lot of contract work, and so that is one of our benefits of having someone like Erin on staff, is she can be seeking out these opportunities, applying to them for us on behalf of the city, or in some cases when it is a really large project like this, bringing in another team, because hopefully we can increase our odds of winning some of these grants
Yep.
through this work, and it is definitely a benefit of having you on our staff. So, any other comments on this item? Let's move on to old business. Anything there that would fall under old business?
Nope.
Okay, how about project updates?
All right, so one thing that I have for project updates is the 2023 street maintenance project. And Aaron, jump in here if I forget anything, please. The street maintenance project, the remaining items are the chip seal, and then the fog seal, and then the pavement markings. And so Allied Blacktop will be in the city of Hudson beginning tomorrow, the 11th. And they'll be here until the 13th applying the chip seal. Okay, so that's the spot, where they come in, they lay down a certain layer of asphalt emulsion, they cover that up with the dresser trap rock and they roll it in.
Yep.
Okay. And then, let's see, so tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, are they gonna sweep on Friday and Saturday?
They said, yep, they would sweep then the remainder
Okay,
of the week and.
so the rocks that don't get embedded into the asphalt emulsion, those get swept off. And then the following week, so next week, they would come back and do a fog seal over everything to lock everything in. And then after that's applied, then they would come back and do the pavement markings maybe late next week, I would hope. They wouldn't, let it go
Yeah, they
too
didn't
long.
give us an
Yeah.
exact day yet, but
Right. So over the next 2 weeks, so for example, the areas that are gonna be hit are like the South Point and Lee development, Carmichael Ridge development, Vine Street from First all the way up to Wisconsin. That's a major road that's gonna be hit.
Hanley.
Is that what's in the storm sewers, those little
Yep,
catches?
so if people
Okay.
are out and about and they see the orange things in the storm, so that's in preparation of putting the
Okay.
rock on the road. Exactly, Sarah. So those are just a couple examples of Williams Park parking lot, Darnold Drive. There's a couple others that I'm missing, but just wanted to bring that to your attention, just in case you do get a phone call, in your district. And so, yeah, that's kind of the latest on our street maintenance project. And then the other thing I will add is the same company, Sir Lines a Lot, that is doing the pavement markings for the street maintenance project. That's the same company that we awarded the extra striping to.
Okay.
For the remaining roads for like Cooley, Crestview. So they're gonna be doing that at the same time when they
Okay.
come in. So they're just coming in Hudson one time and do it all in one shot.
Okay.
Great.
Do you have also on your updates the Third Street?
Aaron can maybe talk to that.
Well, since we authorized the change order, so they are back, reconstructing it, so I don't have an exact date, we extended the overall project to substantial completion August 18th, but they are actively working on finishing the retaining wall, so there's still, you still can't drive through there, there still is a lot of traffic. Maybe not a lot, but you'll get the people like, can I get through? It's like, no, you can't get through. It's, it's gonna be, the road is completely dug up, so you can't drive around the construction equipment, so. That'll be the case for a few more weeks.
And now that we've kind of solved that, the unknowns of that hill.
Yep.
It's all covered now, right? I mean, we've got a game plan for everything on there.
Well, in regards.
But we're not gonna discover that, we actually have to add even more wall or whatever?
No, we
It's
shouldn't.
beyond,
no.
okay.
Yeah, we should be good.
Okay.
So, yeah, they've kind of excavated the full wall length
Okay.
now and everything, so, yep.
Good. That's great.
And then the last update that I have is we met with the contractor for the mill and overlay project, the reclaim project. So later this month in July, he's gonna start in Lakefront Park and do the trail. And after that, he's gonna move up and do the parking lot. And then following that, he'll be up on Laurel Avenue from Blakeman all the way to 11th Street, reclaiming that stretch. He doesn't anticipate getting up to that street until after Labor Day. Is that correct, Aaron?
I'd have to look at the exact schedule, but yeah, it was definitely,
It was
after the Third Street Hill would be back open that they would start the rest of
Correct.
Laurel, so yeah. probably
So
after Labor Day.
just so you're aware of that project as well. That's all I got.
Okay.
One more update, I guess, Aaron Reeves just asked me to update you guys. We also did not receive the 2023 RAISE grant for the Hagan Street Bridge. So I don't know if he already emailed you guys, but yeah, so we didn't, so I don't know what the next steps, if people are interested in continuing to apply, for grants for that, or we've already, I think it's been a few rounds of RAISE, maybe one or two of the bridge.
So we did
Grants, so-
two rounds of raise on that one, I believe.
Yeah.
Yep.
And there was a Reconnecting Communities one we did actually, and then another Bridge Improvement Program one. So,
EIP, yep.
Which they are very competitive grants, so, we can keep.
And has SEH been the one that has helped us with those?
No, Strand.
Strand has helped us with those.
Yep.
So they are kind of in a waiting pattern to really, I guess we have a contract with them to go up to like 60% of the design. They haven't gotten there yet, so it could be also a conversation like, do we want to keep spending money to do the full 60% design, or they were kind of waiting to see where we were at with the grants, and so they might be unclear about how to proceed.
So right
either.
now, we had to have a design in order to even submit. for these
Yeah,
grants. So, and
right.
that discussion and the council voted on that in
Right.
March of 2021, I think, no, 2022, March 2022, they
Yeah.
chose that and got it
Yeah.
submitted.
But they haven't, I don't think they haven't like fully gotten to
Right.
the
To the next.
to the, what we contracted them to do.
Okay.
So they didn't need, they must not have
They got
needed,
30% done.
maybe something like that, I don't know.
So when they put together plan sets, there's a 30%, there's a 60%, and there's a 90%. So that's what Aaron's referring to. They more than likely got the 30% plan set done, which qualified us to submit for these grants. Now they're wondering, do we want to go out to 60, or is it something where maybe we don't, maybe we want to, it's a conversation for another committee,
Yes.
but do we want to keep expending money knowing that we've struck out 2 times on the grant?
Right, and the dollar amount may
Yeah.
have changed, what
Yeah.
because we have paid for the 30%.
Yes.
I mean, that
Oh,
was
yeah.
authorized,
Yeah.
allocated, but now, and, sure, okay.
So,
Topic for, perhaps for us to discuss, but obviously would have to go through finance and council.
Right.
yeah,
Next step,
right. So,
all right. Any other comments on project updates? Okay, thanks. All right, then, communication and items for future agendas. Seems like we've talked about a lot of things that'll be coming forward. I have a couple items that I would like to mention to the group, and I have also mentioned that to staff, and that I know that there's some work being done to get some figures on having the APS system, which is to aid people who are, have limited sight for crossing the street. So Aaron, our city engineer, is working on a pricing on what that might look like for us, because we have had that brought to our committee and want to be responsive to anything that we can afford to do that makes our city more accessible and welcoming to people that need to navigate. We've also had quite a bit of discussion about alley work, and we're not doing alley work this year, but planning to next year. And we have specifically also spoken with both Mike and Aaron about the particular alley that has been identified and brought to our attention by some residents quite close here. Runs between Locust and Vine, between 5th and 6th. Am I
Correct.
describing it correctly? So thinking that should be, maybe not next month, but as we go into the fall on our agenda, just to be thinking, what do we need to do to plan for next year? So appreciate your staff guidance on when you're ready to talk about those things. Is anything else, does that jog a thought for anyone else here tonight, or comment?
I had just mentioned it to Mike, just following up on making sure that we have some discussion about should there be another storm, where we would put the debris. So just wanting to make sure, I don't know if that's an agenda item or just something for the city staff to maybe report back to us on what their thoughts are. And I did just get communication that the alley right behind City Hall might need to be looked at. Because
Tomorrow,
of it.
it's on our radar.
Okay.
Yeah, we've had multiple people
Okay.
call on it today.
All right.
Is something urgent happening?
Yeah, there's
Okay.
a sinkhole next to a catch basin.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
There's always something.
Always something. Job security.
Yes, but that is true. Good way to look at it. Okay, very good. Well, we'll continue to discuss those items. They're all important. And at this point, if we have no further discussion there, I would accept a motion.
I'll move to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We